Okay, so at first I was gonna film this video and I was gonna be like, oh, this isn't gonna be a rant. This is gonna be a rant. I'm not gonna investigate anything. I'll put the sources in, but I'm not gonna. And then I was just like, why bother? Just research it. Talk about facts, because that's the important thing. Facts cannot be disputed and like blah 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 blah. So, but this is very like minimal facts. The rest, if you wanna research it, I'll put like in the description. But this is just gonna be like very generalized. So we're gonna be talking like more than one person about vaccines, which is something that has caused me so much stress because I live in a third world country. Okay, so where I live, vaccines are now given by the government because before they weren't, and there was a lot of kids, a lot of people just dying, and unfortunately they didn't die. Just like, oh, they passed. Like they just no, they were excruciating deaths because a lot of these illnesses, like measles and etc., they don't kill you happily. They don't like, oh, he passed away in his sleep. Like, no, it's excruciating. Like, and to have this become such an epidemic that the government was like, we're going to take this responsibility. We're going to give out free vaccines. We're going to go to different, parts of this country and deliver it, and people would line up because they knew that their kids were dying. And then you have countries like the US or other European countries, which I don't know specifically, but I know that there's also like reaching the movement over there of like, let's not vaccinate our kids is the stupidest thing ever. Now, I need to preface this. If your child cannot get vaccinated because, they have an autoimmune disorder or they have another illness or sickness or etc., where it's not capable, like it's not feasible for them to get a vaccine, that is completely different. I'm not talking about those parents or those children. They benefit a lot from the rest of the population being vaccinated because then the probability of them getting that illness or virus or outbreak is very minimum. But now, because you have idiots, and I'm sorry, I know, like, my dad has taught me to be very open to debates, and I love debating people, I love talking about different things, but in this specific argument, case, whatever, it infuriates me because this is people's lives at risk. This is like children's, like babies who can't decide, they have to rely on their parent, and some parents are idiots, and it's just like, okay. So one case that I was just like, really? Okay, so I pulled it up. It's unvaccinated French boy brings measles to Costa Rica for the first time in 5 years. An unvaccinated French boy. Okay, so the island, yes, the island, was free of measles for 5 years. And then this boy just comes up and just spreads an illness that is contagious because he was not vaccinated. And I feel like laws should be put in because now we know that there's idiots out there. Now we know that there's parents who just like, you know what, I have the money, or I live in a really well off country that, maybe gives vaccines for free or for a very low price. But no, we're not going to do that. No. I feel that if you are in a condition where your child can get vaccinated but you refuse to because you're an idiot who believes in like essential oils and I have no idea what will protect your child against measles or whatever, you should not be allowed to travel to other countries. You should be kept in your own country and maybe in your own state and not travel because you are walking contagion. If you get contaminated by whatever, it will mutate inside your body because there's like the little virus or whatever is like, oh my god, we found a host that doesn't have a vaccine, now we can do whatever, and it will evolve and then it will attack the people who are vaccinated, and then I'm just blown away. That's 2019 and people are still like, no, vaccines are bad. And it's like the study that people always adhere to, that vaccines caused autism, that was disproven. And even so, if vaccines did cause autism, you're really telling me that you would prefer a dead child than a child with autism? Like, what? Like, yes, there are some people who get adverse reactions to vaccines because every body is different. There's always that small population. Like, for example, very different example, but for example, there's this makeup brand that is hyperallergenic. For me, it gives me hives and it's hyperallergenic, and I'm just that small population that it doesn't work for. About that abrupt cut, but my parents came to talk to me, so Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm allergic to that, to medication, to makeup that is hyperallergenic. It's just I'm that percentage of people that just doesn't work for, and that's just how it is. But for you to completely just butcher off vaccines with, like, for example, there was this what's that YouTube channel called? It's like versus middle ground. She saw that she vaccinated her kid and her kid had a reaction to it, so she couldn't continue vaccinating, and so she doesn't vaccinate, and that's understandable, right? But she advocates for more people to not vaccinate. But it's like your child who cannot get vaccinated for health reasons benefits immensely from being vaccinated, like immensely. She will die if out of nowhere, just like, oh, we're not going to vaccinate, we're just going to have a herd of people not vaccinated, because that worked so well in the Dark Ages. That worked so well with the plague and with all those diseases that almost wiped us out. That worked so well back then. Like, I feel like people in first world countries forgot how horrible those deaths are, how tragic they are, how much suffering there is, because I feel like it's just gone out of their mind. I feel like, I don't know why people are like, I'm going to potentially expose my child that I've birthed or adopted, or you can adopt babies, potentially like ruin, just welcome death for your child that you spent either money, time, or energy producing or getting, and it's just like, why? Do you not love your child? No, I'm kidding, I'm not gonna say that, because they do love them, I genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't get it. So I pulled up this article from Time from October 2018. Now it says, I'm gonna read it, but I'll put the full article. It says, and this is from 2018, just want to clarify that. It says, the number of children who have not received vaccines for preventable diseases has quadrupled since 2001 to an estimated 100 individuals, according to a report released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Using data from the National Immunization Survey, the CDC report published Thursday found that in 2017, the percentage of children with no vaccinations by age 2 increased from 0.9 for children born in 2011 to 1.3 for those born in 2015. So in 2001, that figure was only 0.3. The survey found that children were least likely to have received vaccination for hepatitis A and rotavirus. Now, I feel like I personally have no idea what hepatitis A or rotavirus, what is that cause to your body. So I'm going to look it up. So, hepatitis B. It's a viral infection that attacks the liver and can cause both acute and chronic disease. It's transmitted from mother to child, also through blood and body fluids, is a potentially life-threatening liver infection. It is a major global health problem. A safe and effective vaccine that offers 98 to 100% protection. Okay, so the diagnosis, the treatment, prevention. I don't know why people wouldn't want prevention. What is the treatment? There is no specific treatment for acute hepatitis B. Therefore, care is aimed at maintaining comfort and adequate nutritional balance, including replacement of fluids from vomiting and diarrhea. Chronic hepatitis B infection can be treated with medicine, can slow the progression of cirrhosis, reduce incidence of liver cancer, and improve long-term survival. Wow. So let's see what rotavirus is, because I had no idea what this thing is. Rotavirus. Globally, Globally, these 215,000 children, rotavirus deaths account for approximately 3.4% of all children's deaths. Whoa. Okay, but what is it? What is it? Rotavirus is the most common cause of serious diarrhea and vomiting in young children. It is highly infectious and can cause death through severe dehydration. Before the vaccine was developed, it affected almost every child in the world by the age of 5. In the UK, where there is good medical care, very few children have died from rotavirus infections, although before a vaccine was introduced, around 12,700 children a year were admitted to hospital. Rotavirus was the most frequent cause of hospital admissions for children with diarrhea in the UK. However, in the developing world, children are much more at risk. The World Health Organization estimates that rotavirus infections cause between, it's a big, huge number, hold on, 475,000 and 580,000 worldwide in 2004, mainly in developing countries. So, wow. This is great. It's great. Okay, so it says right here, a 2018 study published in PLOS Medicine found that non-medical refusal rates of vaccines have continued to increase in some metropolitan areas across the country. Evidence in that study also suggests that urban areas with higher rates of consumption are at greater risks for disease preventable by vaccines. I feel like if you want to not vaccinate your child, you should be barred from traveling. You shouldn't travel, especially to other countries, just to stay in your own country. You should not be allowed to go to public school. Like I said, this is towards kids and parents who are willingly not vaccinating their kids. They should not be allowed to go to public school. Just the potential health risk that these kids impose and the fact that their parents are just don't care is mind-blowing. So it's heavy stuff. But I haven't heard other arguments from an anti-vaxxer. It would be cool to hear the reasons on why they don't vaccinate their kids, but at the same time, I don't know how to approach this. Do you approach an anti-vaxxer middle ground? Or, because some people just don't listen to science. Some people just don't listen to reason. They're like, oh, but I feel like this. Like, no. Medicine has nothing to do with your feelings. Like, if you want a doctor to be more open with you about, like, oh, what vaccines are, or like, what, like, I get that. But, like, check your privilege. And I know I just said that, and I'm like, but, like, I'm mind blown. Like, literally mind blown. Like, there's other countries, third world countries, that line up to get vaccines because it's safe and it's preventable diseases and it's logical, it's rational. You see your kid dying a horrible death that can be preventable. There's vaccines that are preventing what caused those deaths, and then you're gonna go like, no. I think people need a wake-up call. I think people need to understand and remember history and remember how it used to be back before vaccines were not invented, and how kids just died at a young age, how people died at a young age, how the reason that we married young and had kids at such a young age is because people were old at like 30 or 40, because it's like, wow, you're still alive. Like, everyone just dies. Because like before in like Europe or the UK, people just went to the bathroom in like public because logic. So I think people, because there's been like this increase of quality of life, they are forgetting how we were when we didn't have that great quality of life. So like, read a book, watch a movie, do something, because I'm not here to understand why in 2019 people are not vaccinating their offspring, why people are willingly putting their child at risk for preventable diseases and making them suffer, because the child is who's going to suffer. That is who's going to have to put up with the pain if they get the disease. They're the ones who are going to have to put up with the medication, put up with the surgeries if they need surgeries. And it's just mind-blowing to me that they exist and they are a thing. So yeah, this is all I'm going to talk about. I don't know how to end this in a happy, cheery, like blah 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 mood, but like I said, if any person who's anti-vaxxer or knows someone who's an anti-vaxxer, what are their arguments? How do they kind of like support their opening statement of vaccines are bad, you know? And what do people say about the whole vaccine causes autism? Like, I just want to know. Part of me wants to be like, I want to learn, but the other part of me is just like, why? So I'm leaving at that.